G'day peeps, welcome back to the channel for my first build video for 2K26. Now, I know that I said in my previous video that I probably wouldn't recommend making a 7.4 off rip. I take that back. I know they are still not moving as well as the smaller bigs are, but they're moving better than I expected them to be brutally honest, even with the lack of motion styles. They are definitely currently the meta. The whole catch and shoot 7.4 center with set shot specialist is damn near impossible to guard. The other night we came up against one. We had myself on 6'10", we had another 6'11", both of us were 72 perimeter and lots of vert. We were double teaming this dude and jumping in his face. I might even try and I recorded the footage. I'll keep some of the footage. I'll show it up in the video later. This motherfucker dropped 77 points on us. And we were, like I say, double jumping in his face and getting like 10% contests. It is crazy how overpowered these things are. So until they patch them, this is my meta 2026 2K26 build. Center 7.4. You're gonna want to go the weight 244. That's because we're going to want our defensive rebound up to 92. You're going to want a 7.4 wingspan for set shot specialist. Limitless range and set shot specialist with 89.3. So that's the build parameters: 7.4, 244, and a 7.4 wingspan. And as we go in, we've got an 85 close shot. I need to put that back up. We've got an 85 close shot, we've got a 90 standing dunk, 75 pass act, 40 speed with ball. You'll see this later on how the cap breakers are going to change this build, by the way. 85 interior defense, 88 block. That goes to a 92, so 92 defense with an 80 offensive rebound. Speed and agility, again, not exactly as we want them to be, but look, 7.4s are what they are, and they are meta at the moment. Strength, we're going to take that to 91 with the build specialization. We're going to specialize in shooting. We're going to max +2 set shot specialist to legend, and then you're either going to max +1 Deadeye or limitless range depending on your play style to make those gold. We're going to put the 2 cap breakers into strength to get brick wall on gold, because that's obviously going to be really good for our poppers and out there. As far as the finishing is concerned, we've got physical finisher bronze, we've got 70 driving dunk, which gives you access to a bunch of different dunk animations, and we've got 90 standing dunk for gold rise up. 65 post control, just for the go-to shots and hook specialist. This build's not really designed to be posting up, it's designed to be shooting the ball, getting rebounds, and then if you do get something inside, you're taking it up with your close shot, or you're pumping and going up with your dunk, or you take pumping and closing. Let me try that again. You're taking it up with the dunk, or you're pumping and going up with the close shot. Good God, get your words out, boy. Pass act 75, that's enough for silver break starter, and again with the cap breakers you'll see later on how this build can completely transform to a much more all-round demon. But realistically, it's got finishing, it's got defense. Perimeter defense 59. I don't know if you've seen Joey 2K's build. He's got a 61 perimeter defense on his 7.4, and he's getting good contests on it. So as long as you do add some perimeter, don't be coming out here with a 7.4 that's got 40 perimeter defense or lower, and then you're just not going to get any kind of contest. But the wingspan, the length, and then you have a little bit of perimeter defense to add to it as well, and all of a sudden you are going to get some contests if you do have to switch on the pop on the screen or anything like that on defense. Alright, so that's the build at the moment. Takeover wise, you got lots of different speciality. Obviously you're probably going to go with the 3&D takeovers. Might go for a board beast crash over. Again, if you're a popper, might be handy because you can set great screens. But you've got options. You've also got the Rim Guardian takeover, so if you do end up wanting to increase your interior defensive presence, you can always go for the Rim Guardian as well. Later on, when we do the cap breakers, I don't think they actually add any to the takeovers, so those are your main ones. You've got Sharpshooter, you've got Crasher, and you've got Rim Guardian as your primary takeover abilities. As we press through and continue with the build, you'll see it's got shades of Kristaps, Victor, and Marc Gasol, and it's a backline stretch lob threat. Another sick name. The names this year are great. Basically, its big strengths that it's an elite defensive remounter, it's a dominant standing dunker, it has elite range for a big, and it plays with brute force. Now, weaknesses, again, as a 7-4, it doesn't use post moves particularly well, and it's going to be heavy-footed when changing directions. Now, one of the big things now, if you are lucky enough to have played enough of the game and you've got a cap breaker so far, make sure you do this with any new builds that you do. This is going to be key to setting up your builds in the future. Now that if you've got one cap breaker, that's all you need. You go into the builder, you make your build, you advance, we're going to go straight in.
Okay, I don't need yes men
And we're
right
going
now.
to try
I
and
need you to
skip
be honest.
what we can. Okay, and then we're going to start in the city. Always start hooping in the city. Don't start your NBA career because that will put you into a cutscene, an automatic game, etc. So start hooping in the city.
I'm trying to go hoop in the city for a little bit.
Yeah, let's go. And then, well, why is my shirt brown? I should have my chest out. Anyway, then what we're going to do, first thing you do every time you make a new build, go straight into your attributes and your progression, chuck in your R3 for your cap breaker, and now you're going to get an idea how the build is actually going to be long term. Now with the cap breakers, like I said, what we're going to do with the build specialization, the two are going to go into strength, so you've got a 91 strength. As far as the rest of them, you've got a lot of flexibility. You can take the block up to a 93, and you put your interior defense all the way up to 90, so you could go with 88 interior and a 93 block if you wanted to for real defensive presence. You could go crazy with your standing dunk. I personally wouldn't do that. If I was going to make this build, it's not my style, but if I was going to make this build personally, I'd probably look at putting my pass accuracy up to 85 in the long run. I'd also, because of my natural play style, I would put my ball handle up. Now, we're going to get 9, 17, 23, we're going to get 25 on that, so that's going to take our ball handle up to 65, which actually gets you some half decent moves as a big man. So it's not what I'd recommend a 7-4 to be dribbling, but look, with the way the game is these days, all you got to do is a simple cross or a simple combo move and then shoot the ball on a 7-4, and that shit's open. So yeah, you got the ability to have an 85 pass, you get the ability to have a 65 ball handle, and again post control, we can put that up by another, 10 for another 17, so that can go all the way up to 82. Standing dunk can go all the way up to 90, and if you're one of those close shot pump and fake type of goes, if you do and decide, you could put your post control up, and then you could put your close shot up as well. That can go up to 90, 92, all the way up to 92. So there are definite options as far as cap breakers. You've got availability to actually improve them, and realistically, with the way this build is set up, you've got elite level shooting. You've got really good finishing, especially close to the basket. But don't forget, 70 driving lap and a 70 driving dunk. That is plenty good if you're taking good takes. You're also going to have the ability to have quite good passing, and you're even going to have a sneaky ball handle if you want. But if you don't want to go down that route, again, you're going to have really high block, really high interior, great rebounding. You're going to have 91 strength for gold brick wall. You're going to shoot the absolute piss out of the ball. This build is elite at what it does, and it has the ability to become very well-rounded as well. I think they're probably going to patch the 7-4s a little bit. I mean, they have to. It is unguardable if you've got someone who knows what they're doing on a 7-4. Like, it is impossible to stop. So the meta at the moment is a 7-4, and I think personally this is the best of the 7-4s that I've seen out there. I think especially with the cap breaker flexibility, really has the ability to be a completely overpowered build in the long term. Okay, so here's another way that you can set the build up as well. Still 7-4 wingspan, but this time we've dropped the weight down to 232. And if we have a look at the build, that's allowed us to get an extra 10 on the post control. I think it was only 70 or 65 before, which gives us, as you see, post up poet, then it gets post fade phenom silver, and then it gets unpluckable on bronze, which, while pluck steals aren't particularly great, I believe they will be buffed moving into the game, so that's always a good bonus thing to have anyway. Standing dunk finishing's all still the same. Mid-range 80, all the shooting is the same. However, we do have now an 86 free throw, so if you're a little bit less confident with your free throw, I personally have a 64 on my current build, and I feel like I'm shooting the free throws fine, especially now that I've taken the bloody meter off. So look, if you're a confident free throw shooter, you can drop this all the way back anywhere down to anywhere from 64, but anywhere in that range that you feel comfortable with. You're not going to get a lot for it, obviously, but you might get 1 or 2 extra attributes here that are to your personal liking. Pass accuracy, we're going to go for the 75, 40, and 40 with the ball handle and speed with ball again. I do believe that this is worth doing for a big ball handle at 40. The normal handles, there's a couple of decent moves that if you can get shifty with 40 ball handle, then it's worth having for the cost of next to nothing. Same with the speed with ball. Always go to at least a 40 speed with ball, because the normal dribble style at 40 is 1,000 times better than the basic. It's actually got a pretty good blowout dribble too, in the odd case you want to use it, especially for park or something. Now defensively, we've gone for a 62 perimeter defense now, which gives us a movable enforcer on bronze, and while it's only bronze, it's such a good badge to have. It helps you on the perimeter, and it also helps in the interior as well. So it's a really, really effective badge to have, especially for bigs, and it's tough to get, especially at 7'4". The other thing with this build, we've now got a 93 block, so we get gold paint patroller. Unfortunately, we can't get the vert to 74 at 7'4" to try and get the high flying denier. But again, if you're a positional, if you're in the paint, playing in a zone, and particularly 93 block, you've now got gold paint patroller, which if you wanted to, again, you can +1 or +2 to Hall of Fame or Legend down the track. Now, rebounding has suffered because we're obviously lighter, so we no longer have the 92 defensive rebound, but we do have 85 on both categories. And if we're looking at the takeovers, realistically, I would probably recommend that you run the Crasher takeover. This particular build, because realistically your rebounding has suffered a little bit, and the other thing that suffered is the strength. We will eventually get this up to 83 with our cat breakers from the specialization. We're going to do the same thing that we did for the previous build. So you'll have silver brick wall, but ultimately the Crasher takeover is going to boost your strength and your offensive rebounding. It's going to boost your screens with your brick brawl rating as well. So I highly recommend that you go use the Crasher takeover with this. With the build specialization, you could drop the 3-point down and then add your strength up and then have a little bit more to play with, but it really is a little bit more. Like, you can't do anything significant with it. So what I personally would do, so that you have set shot specialist off rip instead of having to wait for the full build specialization to have your cat breakers, that's going to take a long time. I personally would go the other way. I would deal with bronze brick wall, and ultimately I would have that, so you get your better shooting animations. You're also going to get limitless on silver and set shot on gold off rip. So that is how I would structure the build. So realistically, it's got pretty much the same finishing. It's got the same shooting with a little bit better free throw, pretty much the same ball handling. It's got a little bit of perimeter, and it's got a better block now. While it does have slightly lower rebounding and slightly lower strength, you're going to counter that with the Crasher takeover. You've also got a little bit more vert, which helps. That's a bonus thing. And then again, we've got a lot more speed and agility. So it's a much more mobile, agile, athletic version of the 7'4" that we just created. And if we have a look at the build, Wemby, Kristaps, and Marc Gasol again. Glass, Guardian, Stretch, Riser. Now this time, monster shot blocker, dominant standing dunker, elite range for a big, gives teams multiple looks, and it has no weaknesses to report. Now if we do the next thing, which again you have to do this any build, this is a great video to test two different versions of the types of the exact same build.
I can get some great shots.
This is what we want to do, peeps. You go in.
Actually, I'm trying to go hoop
straight
in
to the
city for a little
city.
bit. But hey.
R3, alright. So, our post control goes to 78, 81, 84, 86. So we still get the 86 post control. We actually get 88. I think 87 now. That would give you post up poet as well. So with this particular rework version of the build, you now actually have the ability long term to become a post threat as well. Your passing can still go to 85, your ball handle can still go to 65. So now all of a sudden you've got a 65 ball handle, 85 pass act, you've got unpluckable on silver as well, so you can post up. This is obviously long term when you have all the cap breakers later on. Alternatively, you can put your block up to 98. The only two things that you realistically have to do with this build, you can't put them into shooting because it's no point going from an 80 to an 84 mid-range, so you're going to pop them into strength 81 to 83, which is going to give you gold silver brick wall, which is I think going to be just beneficial to all those poppers out there. But realistically, those two cap breakers aren't going to drastically alter either of these two builds that you've seen today. But if you do set it up with that 87 mid-range, like I said, you're going to have to wait so long before you've got set shot specialist on and limitless range where they need to be. So the build specialization, I've started to realize as I've now played the game, is something that will become far more valuable come season 3 or 4 when we're able to transfer that onto new builds. At the moment it's kind of irrelevant because it's such a long way away before people are going to have the second cap breaker from the build specialization. So just bear that in mind when you're making the builds. Reworking it, I think this is probably actually a better version. The only advantage to the other one was the strength and the rebounding, but I think ultimately this one is probably a better park build. And if you're playing in a rec or a pro-am mode with 5 people, you probably got additional rebounders, or you just have a power forward that has a nice big high rebound as well to help out on the boards. So I think this is probably the better version of the build, but both have their strengths and weaknesses. So that's it, folks. You've seen how I do things. You've got to test the actual attributes. You've got to play around in the builder, but then you've also got to get into the city. You've got to look at the attributes. You've got to go in and see how the cap breakers are going to lay out, because ultimately this particular build is going to get a couple of significantly different post badges that could change the build depending on how you want to play it as well. And I think this build, if you were going to do it, is far more viable with the ball handle, just being a little bit more mobile and shifty. But anyway, yeah, that's my 2 cents, guys. Let me know what you think of the build. Love to know your thoughts.